Hello, this is Lance Wolf, and this is video 2, the side guns. The side guns of this hovercraft originally were mounted in such a way that they were set on little wings that you could find in some earlier footage of the model originally tore down without sound. But here I'm coming back to it, and these were built, the parts, I had already had the parts assembled in special trays just for them that I knew I'd always be coming back to, and then I didn't wind up using half of those parts. As you can see, they're laying in red. But that's basically how it goes. I found a better way to do it as I was going along, and no matter how much thought went into it, there was still a great deal of trial and error to match the drawings and concepts that I really originally had. So it's really, the part search is amazing. But I found these great toys where I could use these barrel type objects because I wanted to look like an energy weapon, a generator. And this is an old pattern that I had left over when I did it the first time. And at first I started just falling back into even the design, was using the original pattern that I cut for the original gun because I was just extending it. And here I am taking the old pattern and applying it to the toy that I had put together so I could cut the pattern for the holes. And I found the computer a great aid in Photoshop. Just an amazing aid for cutting out patterns for to cut mat board. And as I got into it, I realized that I could redo this and take it a little farther and do it to match the upper gun, so the guns would more replicate throughout the model to be the same type of gun, just different types. And as I was going into this, I started realizing, and I'd gotten a little farther into it, so it was a little waste of time, but this is where the trial and error comes in and where you can push the model. And so I had to take it back in and add a little piece so I could add the little optical sensor, so it would be more reminiscent of the Top Gun. And this was helping push the model. So sometimes you can get on a mindset and you get halfway into it, you got to turn around and stop. And that's with any type of project like this, because in a sense it's sculpture. And the other challenge was finding the parts I needed. Since I don't do castings, which I explain in the introductory video, it's assembling all the parts and necessary pieces to generate a mirrored piece. And I found just 2 pieces of one toy that I could cannibalize to create what I wanted, and then it was a question of just fitting it in and making it look believable and getting it to that point. And it's a lot of long nights. Now I use a magnifying glass. I do the work up as close and as clean as I can, but when you're working with mat board, you have to really saturate it with glue. And then cutting those little replicating parts so I can mount the little shields. Each piece, even though they're the same, they're a little small, different. If you do it wrong, the part that will mess up will replicate throughout the model. If you put one piece on wrong and it's not cut exactly right, as it dries and as you get further along in the model, you'll have something bent out of shape. So it is a challenge, especially when you're working with just parts of cardboard and mat board and broken toys. And then the real challenge here was adding it to the original guns that had the base I want and the scissor lift concept that I wanted. And then I had to have these power cables which will match the upper gun. So while I'm doing this, I'm also in the design process trying to make sure all the weapons stay within the same world, in a sense, the same type of technology. And it's so much goes in to searching for parts, and more time goes into it, just the thought process and the designing. But here we're getting ready to finish it up. I had these little vents just right, and the original pieces had 2 different sides to them, so it meant both of these were really difficult to assemble. But in the next video, I'll show them being placed on the hovercraft and on their arms, and hopefully put more explanation into this. But this behind the scenes of the AAT Hovercraft's tear down and rebuild. And I hope you're enjoying these videos. I hope they're also not too all over the place. I've had to speed them up just a little for time constraints, but trying to do everything I can to get everything in there so you could see everything. And again, as I've stated in other videos, I never really intended to show these to anyone. They were purely for my own documentation. But again, I hope you've enjoyed video 2 of the teardown and rebuild and of the side guns. So thank you very much, and please watch the other videos. Thank you.